This video is going to be a review on how to factor trinomials. So let's do one example. The question will be to factor this trinomial, x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay, our first step is going to be to look to see if there is a GCF between the three terms. And in this case, the answer is no. So we're moving on to our second step. Our second step is going to be to multiply the first and last term. So x squared times 6 gives me 6x squared. Now I'm going to figure out the factors of 6x squared that add up to be negative 5x. So right away I know that I need to have two negative factors, right? Because I want to multiply to be a positive number, but add to be a negative number. So I need to come up with some negative factors. So 1, negative x and negative 6x multiply to be positive 6x squared, but they add to be negative 7x, which is close but not close enough. My second factor will be negative 2x, negative 3x, still multiplies to be 6x squared, but now it actually adds to be negative 5x, which is what I was looking for. I choose that, and what I'm allowed to do is substitute negative 3x plus negative 2x plus negative 3x in for negative 5x. And I'm going to rewrite that expression. So it's going to be x squared minus 2x minus 3x plus 6, right? Negative 2x minus 3x is negative 5x. We're all set. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the first two terms and I'm going to say, well, what's the GCF between these two terms? Well, the GCF is x, right? They both have an x in common. When you're taking out a GCF, you're really just dividing. So I could even write this for myself and say divide both terms by x. I end up with x minus 2. Okay. The next key thing is to remember that whatever this sign is, you bring it right down. So negative. Between these two terms, what is my GCF? It's 3. So I take out, in this case, it ends up being a negative 3. So what I'm really doing is dividing both by negative 3. Well, negative 3 divided by negative 3 is positive x. Positive 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. And then now, what I have is this. I say, I now have two terms whose GCF now is x minus 2. So I'm going to factor out the x minus 2. And what's left after I divide by the x minus 2 to both terms, I'm left with x minus 3. And here is my factored trinomial. I'm going to check my answer, by the way, really quickly. I'm going to double distribute. I'm going to end up with x squared minus 3x minus 2x plus 6. Once I combine like terms, I'm going to end up with x squared minus 5x plus 6, which is my original problem. So this is factored form. Okay, let's try a second example. Here we have 6x squared plus 66x plus 60. Now, always remember that your first step is to look for any GCFs that your trinomial or polynomial might have. In this case, between all three terms, I actually have a 6 as a common factor. So my first step is going to be to factor out that 6. Again, with factoring, it's just like you're dividing out that common factor. So I'm left with x squared plus 11x plus 10. Okay, this looks a lot nicer. Now my second step, I'm kind of ignoring this 6 for right now, right? I'm going to remember that it's here, but I'm just looking inside the parentheses for that trinomial. So I'm going to again multiply the first and last term, which gives me 10x squared. And then now go ahead and try to pause this video and try it yourself. and see if you can get to the answer. Okay, hopefully you've tried it, but otherwise follow along. So here we go. 10x squared, my factors are 10x and x, 2x and 5x. And I'm looking and I'm saying I need it to be a positive 11x. So my factors are going to be positive also. And actually, this is going to be the pair that's going to multiply to be 10x squared, but adds to be 11x. So I'm going to replace 11x with 10x and x. And I'm going to forget that 6 for right now so that my work doesn't get too complicated. And here we go. So I'm going to, again, substitute 10x and x for 11x. Same thing. Look at the first two terms, and I'm going to say, okay, between x squared and 10x, they only have an x in common. So I'm going to take out the x. What's left is x and 10. I'm going to bring down that sign, plus, okay, between x and 10, they have only one thing in common, which is just 1. And I'm going to actually write that in here, right? I don't have to, but it's nice. It's a nice reminder to have that. So I'm going to divide by 1. Anything divided by 1 is just itself. So I'm going to be left with x plus 10. And a nice check is that, you know, these parentheses should match each time. Otherwise, you did something wrong. So don't try to make it match. Make sure that it does actually end up matching. I'm going to take out the x plus 10, which is the common factor in this case. What's left is going to be x plus 1. And now I have the factored form of this trinomial, right? That trinomial is that, but I have to remember that it was initially multiplied by that 6. So I'm going to add that 6 in, and now I am done. And again, you can multiply it out and check your answer.